welcome to this, another episode of Frame and Reference. I'm your host, Kenny McMillan, and you're listening to episode 153 with Lucas Joseph, DP of the documentary Bam Bam, The Sister Nancy Story. Enjoy.
Yeah, the past, like, I want to say four out of five interviews have just happened to get derailed by the DP being a magician. So we end up just talking about magic for the whole time. Like, first it was Larry Fong, and that was intentional. And then it just, like, everyone after that, it would get brought up and they'd be like, oh, fuck, no, me too. So it ends up being a magician.
It's funny how it's like right beside the ASC clubhouse too, right?
Yeah.
There's a weird connection between DPs and magicians.
I think that's absolutely the best, like, dual membership you could possibly have in Los Angeles. But yeah, it's like the most common I've seen is like magicians, drummers or bassists somewhere around there, and architects all seem to be like people who became DPs. And I don't know what the architect thing is, because you'd think it'd be production designer, but they all become DPs.
Yeah, there is definitely a visual kind of aspect to things, and obviously a precision for everything as well. So maybe it's kind of tied into needing more creative output from that. But that's interesting. I play a little bit of bass as well. So
see, there you go.
I fell into the category.
Have you been watching anything cool recently?
I was just watching The Boys, actually. New season just came out. First couple episodes, very interesting. We've a bunch of Canadian DPs on that as well, notably Dylan McLeod. Great work on the visuals, and the story, it gets kind of intense and interesting. We'll call it that.
I haven't seen the any of the new episodes, but I was able to interview Dan Stoloff, who shot season 1, I think. It might have been 2.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, but I did hear, I think the director say that there's something in this season that was like absolutely the grossest thing they've ever made.
I feel like they top it every episode. I couldn't even tell you what exactly that. I think I know what you're talking about, but there's a few of them in there that are pretty intense. But it's definitely an interesting take on the genre, and it's been really interesting, really well received as well. So.
Yeah. What got you into cinematography? Like, were you always kind of in the sci-fi action thing, or were you like, oh, I know, actually Citizen Kane was my favorite movie. I just like watching The Boys.
Well, it definitely got into kind of the visuals very young. I know photography was kind of a big thing, especially with my dad and going on trips and stuff. And I always was so interested by the camera. I wanted to take pictures, and I remember he had one of the old Sony camcorders that took the massive tapes, So I remember having, playing with that as a kid. But it wasn't until, I think, high school where I was kind of like, oh, I can actually do this as a career. And it was like, really fun. Took a communications technology class. And then, from there, I kind of took an internship through high school with one of the local TV stations, Rogers Television, and ended up working on the mobile truck. So we would go to hockey games, elections, all this kind of stuff. But that was my first kind of roll up on a location, set up everything, whether it's cameras, sound, power distribution. So it really gave me a taste of having to set up everything, pack it up, and go home, different location every day kind of deal. And then went into decided to pursue that afterwards, go to college, Sheridan College in Oakville, Canada. And then really focused on cinematography there, and that's when I started to watch the Citizen Kanes and whatnot. Kind of learned the fundamentals of filmmaking and some of the more traditional approaches and whatnot. And then also met a bunch of great filmmakers, as I say, a bunch of like-minded individuals. But thankfully, with our year, I still know a ton of people that are still working in the industry, really excelling actually in their careers in the industry. And yeah, it's been great. I still keep up with a lot of those people to this day, and bump into people all over the world that have kind of gone through that same path and trajectory. And then after that it was freelance. Started as freelance camera in Toronto.
Yeah. So are you going to Leafs games then with the Rogers truck?
That was more local. I'm from Kitchener, Ontario. So we do the OHL, which is the Ontario Hockey League.
Yep.
Farm league under them. So the next step up. But it was almost the same kind of thing of going from the OHL to the NHL. Like that kind of massive jump into cinema. Now I was like, oh, okay, this is the big leagues. So
you just triggered a memory that I probably haven't thought of in decades, which was I grew up in San Jose, and so a buddy of mine was the home end goalie, or like the home end behind the goalie camera operator, and he let me go up there and fuck with it when I was like, I must have been like 10. No, way younger. I was probably like 6. Like during a game, he was like letting me operate.
Take this.
Great. Yeah, God, I hadn't thought about that in a while. But it's at the time, I don't think the Sharks were as good as they were, and now the Sharks are obviously dog shit again. Good for us.
Go through cycles.
Yeah. You went to film school, you said, or was that a separate thing that you were doing during college?
It was film school.
Okay.
So I did a prerequisite 1-year program called Media Fundamentals, and then a 3-year program called Media Arts after that.
What were some of those lessons early on that kind of shaped the way you think about filmmaking? Because I know a lot of people, they get into film school and they're like, oh, I want to be a director, and then you get there, you're like, oh, that everyone wants to be a director, and there's way more jobs than this.
I definitely remember that's kind of like one of the first classes that the teacher's like, okay, who wants to be a director? Everyone puts their hand up. Being there in that program, starting off, we had the opportunity to work on the thesis films of the graduating classes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So one of the benefits to that is like, oh, you get the PA. Well, what's PA? I don't know. We'll figure that out. So you kind of were able to get. It was really, really brilliant, and it was on your own admission. Like, they're not going to tell you, here's a placement. Go and do it. Again, how they say, you get what you put into it. This is definitely one of those things. I just started PAing on these projects and really getting to see all the roles in action, and that kind of started to formulate, what a traditional set was, and all that kind of stuff with filmmaking. So then now when you go into class, it's like, okay, I have a practical knowledge of stuff already, and then you're getting the theory as well. So kind of combining those two, and then as you progress throughout the years, you do your own thesis projects and your own thing. But I definitely know that was one of the fundamentals of one of the benefits. You learn what you learn in class, but I really took a lot from those early set visits, and again made relationships, connections to a lot of people that are still working to this day, who've hired me, who worked on sets.
Every time the film school question comes up, I'm always like, well, you can learn all the film stuff like online at this point, but it's so important to like get involved with people, and like you said, get on set. Even today, I tell people, like, if you get offered like borderline free job or something like that, but the people are good, like whoever hired you is like smart, and you can kind of tell, oh, this is just good. It's just there's no budget. Usually there's a bunch of other people who are really talented on that set who you will either learn from or get a job from, who are also working below their rate, and then suddenly you're on some bigger commercial or something like that. Those gigs are always helpful, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you really also have to, give your best effort and still put your best attitude forward. You can't be going like, oh, I'm not getting paid. I'm gonna, half-ass this, or,
Yeah.
because it really is true that those connections that you make on those jobs set you off for other stuff. So that kind of sets up the next thing is like during college, you're doing a lot of those kind of free gigs, like music videos or whatnot. So one of my first forays into camera was, or for like one of my first focus pulling jobs really was kind of that freebie. Kaylee Wilson, actually, really seasoned grip in the industry, was directing this piece. Obviously has a bunch of amazing friends and connections in the industry already. And then I was brought on by the DP who was shooting it, Justin Beatty, to help him out as an AC. And then I reconnected with a bunch of other DPs there, Marty Wojciech being one of them. And yeah, I remember one of the first shots was it was like, oh, it's a quick pickup shot, and the movie I think just came out.
Yeah,
the movie. So Justin was he had the 115. I think was the big one.
Bigger one.
We was starting to run that in commercials and stuff. That was kind of my first actually intro into like cam assisting and actually doing it on commercials and some freelance stuff. So yeah, I remember we were doing a movie shot, and it was kind of a big tracking shot. We followed an actress out of the room, out of the doorway, and then pulled back, and then she got into a car and swing around. And I realized I didn't have a monitor. Like DP had his monitor to operate, but I didn't have a monitor for the focus group. So I was like, oh no, I have to do this.
Old school.
The old school. Yeah. Set my marks, did the thing. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, I did it. What? And then, Marty was also super impressed. And from there, it was like, okay, we're busy now. Yeah. So that really just set off really a ton of work as a camera assistant, really just based off those recommendations. And going from, word of mouth, obviously that DP knows a bunch of other DPs. And so keeping that network, tight and small, and also just making sure you have a good name to be able to spread around, I think is super important. And then, that kind of started leading me into more ACing jobs. And that's how before I got into cinematography, I was probably doing that for about 4 years. I was out of college. I wasn't able to go directly in out of school.
I feel like most people don't.
It's a tough situation, right? To be able to do, and if you have that opportunity, by all means, go for it. It's really probably one of the better options. Just ride the momentum right out of school. But I was still definitely working in the industry, still keeping all these connects. I was working way up as a camera assistant, freelance mostly. I didn't end up joining the union or taking the AC union route. But I was able to work on non-union features, commercials, short films, and the works.
Yeah.
So then after about 4 years of that, maybe 4 or 5 years, did a bunch of stuff all over, did a bunch of travel jobs as well as a camera assistant. And that was great, really builds character. You're really able to have a front row access to all these different DPs of how they do their approaches, how they light, how they communicate with their team, with their crew, with clients. And then, I decided probably it was 2019, or end of 2019 to go full time into DPing. Like let's go off the next.
Right on. I don't think I've ever got. Most of the time, people go from like gaffing into like, I don't know. I must have asked this, but I'm gonna ask you, what qualities do you think make a good AC, and also like what did your AC kit look like when you were, what were the indispensable tools? Because I know for me, it's like laser measure now. Like that thing is the best.
It's really, really awesome. And again,
Also
just that quick RoboCups
and RoboCups, yes.
RoboGrip. What's a RoboGrip?
It's so you know how everyone wants, they're like, you have to have a multi-tool. It's like you never use anything in the multi-tool. You use the pliers and they're kind of shit, and the knife, right? So I just carry a knife, and then the robo grips are like they're like pliers, but they lock. So you get like a really sure grip on everything. And it's like the two of those things are about the size of a multi-tool anyway. But
there you go. Okay, look into that. The RoboCup. That's also one of the key ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, multi-tool Leatherman. Specifically, if you guys want to sponsor, it's all cool. But yeah, I've been using that one. Been using that for years, and I think that's always a go-to. Even as an operator, DP, whatever, just keep that on the belts, and it'll save me a bunch of situations. Obviously, your typical lens cleaning solutions you always need. Measuring device, yeah, you have your laser measure now. I've seen some ACs that like to throw tape on the ground, throw out a 10-foot line, just to be like, okay, that's my distance. I know where it's going to be. Then they can kind of, play within there. Yeah, and just having a proper duty bag. Not too sure if this has come up before, but I love camping in the outdoors. So I find like a lot of that kind of all the bags and kits and the weather protection and hiking materials, all that stuff. There's a lot of things that can be transitioned over into filmmaking. Yeah. One of them I know being like a weather cover, usually for bags or whatever, have been great to throw tarp over things, or especially now for travel gigs, just packing things, keeping organized and labeled. I think that's one of the biggest things is organization. Just knowing where things are, knowing where to pull things out quickly, and then catering those tastes and needs, not only to the production of the show, but your DP, your camera operators. Because once you get to know your team, it's amazing. Some of my favorite things about filmmaking is like when everyone's kind of clicking and it's just barely need to speak. Everything just kind of locks into place.
Yeah. There's this weird, I 100% agree with you. There's this weird thing I'm noticing online where like, I just kind of want your opinion on it now that I'm thinking of it. But like, there seems to be this urge from like the younger generation of people who want to become filmmakers where they're always like, you'll see YouTube videos like how to be a solo filmmaker. In 2024, they always got to put a year on it for some reason. Like there seems to be this push towards doing everything yourself, and everyone goes, oh, it's so hard to find a team. Or, that I live in an area where no one wants to help or anything like that. And I'm like, that's kind of the whole, I got into it to be part of that like roving band of misfits who like makes a thing. I didn't get in this to be by myself. That feels awful.
Yeah. And I find there's, some of the commercial stuff I do, honestly, on the lower and smaller scale is like a lot of the one-man band kind of situations where you do kind of have to, do everything yourself. It's again such a treat to be able to have a big team that you can delegate your tasks to, and really work at a pace that you need to. And getting to find everyone's strengths and weaknesses and apply that to whatever you're making. So you learn so much from other departments, from other crew. It's one of the things I love about travel as well, is you get to see international crews, how they work, what their processes is, and, stuff like that. So,
yeah, I mean, with the Sister Nancy doc, you guys were everywhere. Like how many cities were you in? How long was that shoot also?
Yeah. So to get into that, pretty much from the top, first off, director Alison Duke. I met her and her company, Oh Yeah Media, probably 2018, I guess, 2017 maybe even.
So that's where Nancy's husband got the hat.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no fucking way.
There's no way. The funny thing is like she gave that to him as a gift. And he wouldn't take it off. He's like, no, this is like, oh yeah, come on, this is it, guys.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it wasn't even like a planned placement or anything. It's like, oh, we asked, and it's like, no, it's fine, leave it. Oh yeah. So yeah, but to plug them, worked on a project. Allison was a documentary director for 20 years prior to this, as well as directed music videos and a bunch of other things. But this was her first narrative project that she was doing as a thesis project for York University in Toronto.
The Bam Bam was?
Not Bam Bam, sorry. This is a short film.
Sorry.
I'm kind of all leading into it.
I was like, holy shit.
What? No. But yeah, long story long, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, so worked on the short film. Very, very powerful story. Essentially, a mother gets too sick to take care of her daughter. Child services comes in, takes her daughter. She ends up passing away from heartbreak, essentially, shortly after. So yeah, it was obviously a very heavy subject. Got to work very closely with Olenike, which is a fantastic actress in Toronto and Canada, and it's also a very proud Jamaican as well. But yeah, getting to work with such a great team there, really connected with Allison on a personal level as well as a technical level. Really enjoyed working together. And throughout that, we're also working with an emerging filmmaker program that is a part of Oya, and that Allison's kind of put together, as well as Gadi Conte George is another producer. They're the two founders. But yeah, so we created this short film with emerging filmmakers. It went really well. This film is now being used as a teaching tool and everything. So yeah, again, talking about the projects, really low budget thing, just responded off of a random ad online. And then since that, it's blossomed into a whole stack of other projects. One of them being Bam Bam. So a few years later, I think this is January 2020, I get an email saying, hey, Sister Nancy, whether the project's essentially landed on her desk. And she got the project from Sister Nancy's Canadian DJ, who works in Montreal, DJ Mossman. Mossman found Allison, loved their work. Like, yeah, I have an artist, that we'd love to do a piece on, and it'd be great female empowerment piece, and it's about dance hall. Just like, yeah, who is it? It's like, oh, Sister Nancy. And it was like, what do you mean, Sister? So Allison, obviously, very, very passionate about the subject. She's always saying that she's old enough to remember when the song dropped. She was at the parties, doing it live. So it's really kind of a dream come true for her, and a full circle moment to be part of the project in the first place. And then when I heard it, it was very much the same. To be like, obviously, heard of the original song, all the remixes, notably Jay-Z's 444 album, and his BAM track came out, I think, a year or two prior. Yeah, so we're like, okay, we got a world tour set up. We're going to Europe, we're going to be in Africa, Australia, I think Tokyo's on tour, we're going to Brazil. Great. First show is going to be South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and COVID. South by was one of the first big festivals to get canceled from that. So we just had to pivot and switch, and don't want to get into COVID too much. Obviously, we all know how that was. But
I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
You were there. I was there.
I've seen it.
So yeah, that was really tough, obviously, for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, we pushed through. So we just used that time to prep. Allison wrote like a script, as best you can in documentary, to kind of like rechange, where we're going to be able to perform first. Like, how are you doing a doc about music and performances and getting close to people? So yeah, that was really tough to navigate. But eventually we were able to go to the States and see our home in Paterson, New Jersey for the first time. And just really get to know her. And such a great experience, so down to earth. there's that part in the doc where her daughter is talking about um, how she's sugar and pepper.
Yeah.
You know, she can come out with this really rough, kind of scary attitude sometimes that people are very put off by, or can be quite intimidating. But once you get past that, the sweetest, you know, most understanding, connecting, you know, human being. And yeah, it was so great to be able to work so closely with her, and you know, really have her trust us to be there and be in her space. And yeah, also tell her story, because she doesn't really do very many interviews. She doesn't do much press. And as you saw in the film, just like such a story to go on about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because she seems like such a nice lady. And then there's like a part where she's cooking and she's like, oh, you know, if I'm not yelling at someone, something's wrong. And I was like, I haven't seen you yell at anyone. You seem nice. I don't know what this is all about.
Yeah, that was that scene actually was interesting. That was the very first kind of shoot that we did. We weren't able to travel at that time, but we had another doc team go down, who was already in New York. Henry Debenogo, he's also the DP of I Am Not a Negro, with Raoul Peck. So
great film.
Again, a fantastic documentary. So that the hot docs like a year prior. So yeah, to have him be a part of the project and go down, I was like, wow, it's just also such an opportunity to really learn from him. And you know, and one of the things he was saying is like, yeah, she's like really intense. It's kind of, you know, spicy to say the least. So, you know, even having such a seasoned vet, it's a good project, is, you know, also having to kind of massage away into it and, you know, get comfortable and everything. But that scene with her yelling at the end was one of his clips. So definitely caught her on a spicy day, which is funny. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's such a great experience, really.
So what did prep look like for you? Because I mean, it, you know, like you said, it's a long shoot. You're going everywhere. Like, I imagine you had to keep the shooting package small. You know, audio obviously for documentaries. Why did I say it like that? Documentaries is a consideration. Media management. Like, walk me through kind of how you tackled some of those larger potential pain points.
Yeah, so a lot of you really kind of had to break it up with how intensive the days were going to be. Mm-hmm. Again, it being a lower budget, we weren't able to rent, you know, full packages every day or have multiple crew. So yeah, on the smaller days, it was just Allison, me, sound, sometimes an AC or a swing, fixer, producer, driver. And yeah, trying to keep the kit super light in backpacks, you know, maybe one roller, 2 rollers, because we're packing our days super tight because we don't have the luxury of so much time. So yeah, it's really stick and move. Got to go in the location, set up. Maybe it's an interview, pack up, on to the next one. And then some of those days can go long because, let's say, if he's playing a show, for example. So you kind of have to time, well, we can't have this day be 20 hours long as much as we want it to be.
Sure.
You know, to catch, you know, the start of the first half of the day, the second half. One of the shoots in Montreal, that was the case. I unfortunately had COVID for that shoot. So again, we had to delegate a crew out of Montreal to shoot for us. But again, it's really small, compact. And yeah.
So what was your shooting pack? Like, what cameras, lenses were you implementing?
Yeah, so for the most part, we used the Sony FX9, the FX3 as an A and B camera. And then, yeah, mostly for interviews and whatnot. And then in Jamaica and some parts of New York, we were able to shoot recreations on the Aton XTR 16 mil.
Okay, because I was going to ask about that, but sorry, continue.
Yeah. So sidebar for that, but yeah, I shot on that, and then later on, the FX6 became available because I don't know if you remember that, like,
Yeah,
it's almost a 2-year period. You just couldn't find it anywhere. But yeah, so we used mostly the Sony cameras plus that film package, and the lensing. We use mostly the G Master zooms, 16 to 35, 24 to 70, mostly for the docu capture stuff. Let's say whenever I'm following around Sister Nancy, most of the time I'm just on that zoom to be able to have the flexibility, because we don't know where we're going all the time, or what's going to happen. So yeah, that just gave me such a flexibility with that camera package.
Yeah.
And the combination as well. I would, switch out usually our assistant, or, if we had a second operator, something would be shooting usually FX3 on the gimbal, for example, and then I would be on the FX9 with a bit more of a bigger lens, or whatever, and then we'd switch.
Yeah.
And I'd take the gimbal perhaps on stage. And yeah, a couple cringy gimbal moments in the piece that I definitely wouldn't do now. Again, looking back at the project taking so long, you kind of see yourself evolve as well.
Yeah.
So you're like, I wouldn't do that now, or I probably wouldn't, but alas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that camera package allowed us to keep fairly light and nimble, as well as kind of mix and match when we need to.
Yeah. So all the recreations were shot on film, or was it a mix?
It was a mix. Some of them were, some of them weren't. You can kind of tell if we left kind of the exterior gate of the
See, that's negative. The thing is, I can't, at this point, there are so many like assets that you can download that like look like that and effects. And I was just like, all right, it's one of them. I can't, but I can't tell anymore. Well, you can when it's bad, but it was good enough that it's like, this is either film or a great recreation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all the stuff in Jamaica, we shot, most of the exteriors with the kids. I think anything we had with, it's kind of a mix and match. But for the most part, we did shoot 16 mil for most of the recreations. Some of them we had to shoot on the FX9, which then I used the 2K crop mode.
Yeah.
And then put the Super 16 lenses on the FX9, so PL mount. So it's using like a 9.5 mil, for example, on the camera. So that kind of helped with a little bit of the look. Again, I would love to shoot all of it on 16, but we didn't have the option for that. But yeah, in the grade, we were kind of able to amalgamate all of our pieces. Mike Dabowski over at Picture Shop in Toronto did a fantastic job of, had I think every medium in the last 20 years in the film, from film to tape to digital to tape to digital, and all the losslessness in between. But yeah, I think we did a decent job with being able to mix everything.
Yeah.
I found that the 16 that we did shoot, we actually ended up having to add a bit more grain, add a bit more texture to it to kind of have it match either the archival or some of the other kind of fabricated film look.
That's not surprising at all, because I was talking to Eigel Burld about shooting The Holdovers, and he was saying how, have you seen that?
I haven't yet, no.
Oh, dude, some of the best film emulation I've ever seen in any project. But he was saying that, the movie basically is supposed to look like it was from the 70s and kind of just discovered and then projected.
Mm-hmm.
And they tested film. They were going to shoot 16, but 5219 is supposed to be scanned. And so they were like, we're going to have to add grain and funk to this anyway. So let's just shoot digital and do it all later. Like, why give ourselves the headache of shooting film if it's not even going to look like it, look like how we perceive film to, or I suppose remember film to be.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? And now knowing the process, I would have probably, pushed the film much harder and, try to get a lot of that kind of that grain out naturally, whether it's, pushing the stock or whatever. But I was really surprised. And we did the scan over at Film Discreet, Justin Noble shop, also in Toronto. And I did too good of a job. It was too clean.
Yeah.
And next time I would have gone back and say, just rub it around on the floor and then throw it back in. And then, but
there's actually a relatively famous story. I think it was Fight Club, where they legitimately were stepping on the negative in the before they scanned it, because they were like, this needs to look terrible. Like, fuck this thing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you said you had shot stills, obviously, but had you shot motion picture film before?
Yeah, I have. Not obviously in a project of this scale or this much kind of at once. I've shot kind of Super 8 and Super 16 out of a Bolex. And then my first 16 project was back at Sheridan during college. And that was also great. Again, a great chance to be able to shoot the medium and kind of play with it a bit more. But yeah, going on this one, really learning would have just been like to take more risks, to push it a bit more, be a little bit more aggressive with, choices and whatnot. But, kind of, you're always trying to play it safe as well, and not too safe, but
you don't want to get fired.
You don't want to get fired. You don't want to, so yeah, to, again, more time, more testing, more stock, you can really fine tune what you're really trying to achieve. But this was really much, just get in the can, make sure it looks good, and then we can kind of play with it afterwards if we need to.
Yeah, because that was going to be actually my follow-up question is, like, for a documentary, not a lot of pre-production you can do beyond just being ready. But for all of the recap stuff, like, was that similarly like on the fly, or were you able to kind of like slow down and actually figure that out?
It was very much slowed down and figured out. And it was very nice pace change. To be like, let's slate this, let's do takes, Whereas when it's like you're recording a show or a performance, it's just go. You might have a set list, or you might know, the general facts of things, but a lot of the time it's just, you're all over the place trying to capture what's happening. So we were able to really plan it, shot list it, slow things down, choose what stock I wanted to use. I made sure we had, again, we can't rent lights and equipment every day, but for the film stuff, I was able to kind of, get a few more things that we needed. So yeah, it was a great kind of collaboration with the team as well. I think everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the recreations, it was a fact of like we couldn't really find anything, or there's not really too much high quality archival from that time.
Right.
And you saw what we had in the piece, and that was kind of all like up-res, or we tried to find original assets, or a lot of these things have either been lost or the quality is no longer there. So that was really a push to be like, let's really go in and kind of bring it back to life.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And crew did such a fantastic job, from the costumes to the casting to locations we were able to find. It was a great, a good kind of interchange between these.
Yeah. There's one interview set up in specific that I wanted to ask you about, because it just looks great. But the Janelle Monáe interview is like one of the more dialed, like, I imagine it was a simple setup, but it just looks so nice. And I was wondering what I could kind of see in like her eyes, I think, or something. Was it just like a T-bar with a big piece of diffusion? You just blasted her with that, or like what was that lighting setup?
yeah. So again, unfortunately, I wasn't able to shoot
Oh, that
that
wasn't you?
video.
Ah, fuck.
No, no. And it's true because it's like, yeah, you had the rentals, able to go to our house, have the space.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it was kind of a one off day, and again, more controlled
Yeah.
than a few of the other shoots. I think that was their only stop for the day or not.
Gotcha.
But yeah, fantastic. Yeah, looks great, and really appreciate it.
No, actually, it sucks because no, I didn't like it. I don't know why I brought that up.
It's terrible. No,
It's-
it's true, but no, I do appreciate. And again, that's kind of the tough thing. It's like, especially on the road, is knowing kind of what you need to have to emulate the look that you'd want.
Mm.
But when you're on the go, and I think a lot of the setups I had, like a 300D aperture and like two 120s.
Yeah.
And some other smaller lights. So it was really tough to get a decent source out of some of the interviews.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When you were you like a dance hall fan before you, or was this like an education, or like, all right, well, I'll rephrase that. Were you excited to do the gig because you knew the subject matter already, or were you excited to kind of learn about it?
It's really both. I definitely knew about the culture and the music. My dad's from Dominica, in the West Indies. And yeah, being here in Toronto, it's such a multicultural city, and very, very strong Jamaican influence. I think we're the second most Jamaicans in the world, aside from Jamaica, here in Toronto.
My old math teacher was Jamaican Canadian, and I was like, when I was a kid, I thought that was weird. I was like, really? And then come to find out, yeah, there's a bajillion of them.
yeah, and it's always fun to be like, see somebody like, oh, I got a cousin in Mississauga, or Ajax, or Scarborough, or oh, do you know this person?
Yeah.
So, and again, it's such a small world. Even finding out that some of my relatives knew some of the musicians in the piece, and was probably loosely connected with the movement here in the late 70s, early 80s and stuff. So yeah, super small world. But yeah, so love the music, love the culture, and to be able to now like really go in for work and to craft and tell stories that need to be told. It was such a fantastic opportunity. And yeah, just try to put my own sensibilities, whether it's with music or arts. I try to put it into the piece.
Yeah, I think it occurs to me because me and my girlfriend have this running joke that like, if it wasn't in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, did it matter? And in terms of music, and I think it's actually Skate 3, the game that Bam Bam is in, and it's like, it's just nonstop. There's only like 5 songs in that thing, so I just remember hearing it nonstop in that game, and it's such a that is such a small example of how pervasive that track is. It's in everything. It's I mean, they say it in the documentary a bunch, like, oh, it's one of the more sampled songs of all time, but I think it might be like, yeah, it's crazy. I think that song is now beyond just being a song. It's like, it's part of the DNA of like audio. Just her. It's such a crazy thing. Like, I can't think of another song that is that again, pervasive. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to hear everyone's connection to Bam Bam. It's always from something like, whether it's hearing it for the first time, or whether it's in a video game, whether you heard it in a commercial, whether it's in your favorite movie or TV show, whether you heard it at your neighbor's house because they just hear the beat. Yeah. So
and that horn, I can't remember who said it, because I'm terrible with names, but when he was like, I made my dad play because that horn, that opening horn, is like is iconic, as well. Yeah, just every element of that.
Yeah, P-Rock, I think. Yeah, and it really has like such nostalgia, such a link to a lot of people. So yeah, being able to work on the project was really a dream come true.
Yeah. What did post look like for you guys? Because I know it's not really your department, but I imagine you guys must have shot hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage.
Yeah, I really did. I think Eugene Weiss, our editor, who did an incredible job.
Yeah.
I really think the pacing of the film just goes. There's no like, a lot of time with documentary, you can be overfed, or you could be, you can lose interest, or the pacing just isn't correct.
Yeah.
I thought he did a fantastic job. That being said, I think he said we had over 200 hours of footage. Yeah. With all the interviews, the concerts, the B-roll, all the, the travel. Unfortunately, there's so many amazing characters and stories that we couldn't even get into the piece. So
I mean, it's almost a 2-hour documentary. Like it's,
which I'm like, Allison, like, are you sure we can? And she's like, we're almost at 2 hours already.
Yeah, this does not
need the end of this. It doesn't need to be longer, It's but it really feels like, there's more there. So yeah, post being said, I think one of the hardest things that the team had was licensing. There's the music, the photos, trying to get all the rights, and the legal situation kind of locked up. Almost took a year, I think, of going down and hunting publications that might not exist, or people who have passed, or who owns this, who owns that. So once that was kind of finished, then we were able to finish at the picture shop. And the color grade went really well. Again, we had assets from all over the place. And one of the things, especially with some of the assets that weren't looking too clear or clean, we tried to fix them to be like, okay, sharpen this up, maybe the color, and a lot of the time it just didn't work. So we're like, you know what, let's go the other way with it. Let's mess it up even more.
Yeah.
Let's try to to make it feel like the effect of it being broken. So I think that really clicked at a point to be like, okay, now it feels appropriate, I'd say, for what it is.
Yeah,
might not obviously be the best quality visually, but I think it kind of hopefully works out in the end. But,
yeah. And were you able to kind of sit in on the color sessions, or did you just kind of go, make it look nice, we're good?
No, yeah, I was able to sit in on the color sessions, and as well as Allison was so great, and I've kind of been involved with the project for so long. They kind of kept me up to date, not only with the color but with some of the sounds. Went to one of the mixing sessions, and went to one of the finishing sessions as well, which is kind of extra. Again, it was on my own terms for most of it, but I just really wanted to see the project through to the end and really give it our best. So that was really beneficial, honestly, to be able to go through all those different sessions. And I was expecting one quick color session, but we actually got a few to really work on things. One of them was just like a grain and noise and texture pass to really kind of match, everything, or res up or res down some of the archival.
Did you have a look kind of in mind when you were sitting in on those color sessions, or was it more just kind of like balancing and matching?
Yeah, mostly kind of balancing and matching. I tried to kind of separate, I'd say, different eras. It's a little bit of a different look. So again, like the archival kind of 70s has that 16, kind of texture, where present day has more of a modern look. I don't think I put too much. I think I want to put some 35 grain on some of the digital docu footage.
Yeah.
Give it a bit more of an edge. But look wise, just sort of to separate kind of the archival and our documentary beats with
Gotcha.
kind of like Sister Nancy and us.
Yeah. And did you? I can't remember because a handful of these interviews have kind of jumbled together. But was this one of the Tribeca ones, or were you at a festival recently?
It was, yeah, Tribeca.
It was Tribeca. Okay.
Yeah, had the world premiere at Tribeca, which was fantastic. It was, the whole family got to come down and see it. And it was a part of their Showcase Plus series. Mm-hmm. So she actually performed after the first screening. Wow. Yeah, so that was really magic, because you saw at the end of the doc, it kind of, she's about to walk out, and then
she did.
She did. Which is weird, because I always kind of imagined it being that way, from the very start as we were rolling, just like, it'd be so good to hear the story, and then you're kind of continuing live. You're seeing the doc live, because these are the next steps for her as well. 40th anniversary, the album's coming out. This is obviously going to generate a bunch of hype and momentum for her, and so yeah, it's always it's continuing. So yeah, that was such a great wrap up, and then to hear her voice again, like on that setup, it's magic. It's really something else.
And how was the reception in the audience? Obviously, most festivals are pretty loving, but I imagine people were pretty stoked on it.
It was great. Honestly, it was, again, I think one of the best things as a filmmaker is to hear reactions while people watching the film. Yeah. And it was, the emotions were all over. There's happy moments, sad moments. Near the end, when she's like, people find out she's getting royalties for the first time, you hear gasps, and people literally cheering, clapping for her when she's like, "Oh, she got it right now."
Yeah.
And just having kind of a really positive attitude. I feel like everyone just felt great after watching. It's very kind of empowering and enlightening.
Yeah, you guys did do a great job of alluding to the rights issue up front, but not like putting to it, because I think it's, someone mentions it briefly or something along that, and you see her walk out of her house in New Jersey, and you're like, wait a minute, like, that's just a house. Like, that's not, this person should be a billionaire,
Yeah. Really. Yeah. Again, her being like so down to earth, it's kind of hard to understand, once you see it, it's like, okay, yeah, this is, happy and content, and like, you understand why, throughout the story, why she's still there, and why she's, lives the way she does. And it's inspiring. Something really inspiring about that. And getting to see her at her most, like, chilled out, relaxed, like, I'm gonna chill here. I got my 2 TVs on, got my bonnet on. I'm just gonna relax. This is my relaxing day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always funny, because it's like, you never want to push. When she says she's done, she's done.
Right.
No more. Oh, 5 more minutes. No, let's just get you another shot.
Yeah.
So, again, when you're doing the documentary, learning the subject and everything, learning how, getting to know them better, it's like, that was one of the things that, that's like, when she's done, she's done. When she goes, she'll go. When she's done, she's done.
Yeah.
So, it's so fun.
Were there any reactions in the screening that surprised you? Because I know a lot of times it for a lot of people, it's like people laugh at something that you didn't think was funny. Like, that always seems to catch people off guard. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that was a comedy.
Yeah, I think there was a bunch of moments in there. That was, the doc is quite funny, Yeah. So I think, once you see it so many times, it's like, oh yeah, that is it's quite hilarious. I think my favorite part, the funniest part, is at the very end credits, when she's seeing the robot and it goes to the door. Oh man, that gets me every time. Or at the start, when she's spraying the perfume, she's like,
yeah, just yeah.
She puts it away. Yeah, the theater kind of went off at that part. And you can hear me laughing behind the camera.
I know. But, I was surprised you guys left that in. I was like, all right, yeah, hell yeah. It's raw.
And you know what? I think that really leads to it, because there's so many moments where it's just like, it's about the story. You know, it's there might be a light in frame, or the thing's not perfect. I think that one shot that she's in her room and her phone goes off. She has Bam Bam as her ringtone.
I know.
That happened. That was like day one, I think. We're like, is this real?
I thought it was edited before, like she picks it up. I thought you just started playing the song over the clip.
I just remember being like, no one's gonna believe this is real. So I think I was looking over Allison's. So and yeah, a lot of times, even in London, I know we had such a tight schedule again, going internationally. It's a pulling, especially with COVID and having to deal. It was really tough. So our schedule was super back. But yeah, that point we were chasing the master tape at Westbury Music. That's all live. Like, we didn't know, the tape's upstairs, you know, all the reactions we had of everyone are very original and bang on. So at first I was kind of, upset. Like, I need to get a light in here. I need to, and fix. When I was just like, I'm going to shoot them on a white wall because that's where they are. And this is about the story,
Yeah.
So I find a lot of those moments, thankfully, the story carries it through the tougher visual points of, yeah, I know I could have fixed that. Yeah, I know I could have interrupted the interview and stopped them. But yeah, really capturing it for the first time, first take, super important. So yeah, as a DP, kind of like balancing. Obviously needs to make the cut, but story is number one.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, that's always the advice that everyone gives, right? What's the best? How can I become a great DP? It's like, serve the story. And also, dance hall is in itself like a very MacGyvered together genre. So things being a little rough around the edges visually matches the tone of the subject matter. It's not, if it was too polished, it would almost feel like a 60 minutes thing, or, like, it would feel kind of sterile, in my opinion.
And that's it. And it's like, we're also making an active choice to not commercialize things, or sterilize, or, and again, that's also her philosophy, original, one take. Don't cut, don't dilute. It's like, this is it. So yeah, we kind of did bring that to the visual aspect as well. To be like, obviously we want this to look good. Certain points we did push to be like, okay, we have the time, space to, set up a proper interview if possible. And yeah, let the kind of live moments just go. Like, one of those being the studio recording session with Soul Syndicate. All of the lighting in there originally was terrible. I think it was like some fluorescent tubes or something falling apart.
Stuff that really sets the tone for creativity.
Sets the tone, So yeah, just going in there and like having a panic to be like, what am I gonna do? I don't have much time.
Was that your lamp in the booth?
What lamp? I don't know what you're talking about. Was my lamp in the booth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had like a 120 into the ceiling and a 300 into the ceiling, and maybe some sort of, because you're seeing pretty much 360 as well, right? So it's like, I can only put my lights in very few places, and then I try not to see them best I can. But if you do, you do. It's like, again, the story is the most important, and again, watching it, you're distracted by what's going on, and hopefully you're not noticing all the tiny imperfections. But yeah, I think what we were able to do worked, and I mean, it's taken a before picture because it was something.
I mean, the only reason I even noticed is because I'm watching it. I mean, you're right. You kind of fall into it, because even though I was watching it to ask questions about cinematography, about halfway through, I realized I wasn't like taking notes or anything. I was like, oh, fuck. All right. Yeah, just remember it. Just remember it. But it's a great watch, man, and a great story. And I think you guys did an incredible job capturing her. So congrats.
Brilliant. Thank you. And yeah, just to sound that, like, I really think Sister Nancy Ball was very happy with with the piece. You know, she laughed, she cried, laughed again. But yeah, I think she's really overjoyed with what we did, and that was my number one goal really with this is you know, to serve her story and to make sure she gets her flowers and feels respected and heard, and really, really big privilege to do that.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we've actually timed the end of this perfectly because I guess they're back from their lunch break and they've just started doing the fucking sanding again. I gotta send you a video of how like it is ear piercing. It's like bouncing off the building next here and just coming. Wow, yeah. Oh, it's brutal. But like I said, man, it's a great doc, and you deserve all the attention you can get for it. Everyone does, not just you. But
of course, yes. But no, very much thanks, Kenny, and I appreciate that.
Frame and Reference is an Owlbot production. It's produced and edited by me, Kenny McMillan, and distributed by Pro Video Coalition. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can do so on Patreon by going to frameandrefpod.com, where you can get all the episodes, and clicking the Patreon button. It's always appreciated, and as always, thanks for listening.